Hello and welcome to this episode of No Load Time. It is episode 104. My name is Obed Velez, and with me, a special guest, Dr. Joel Young.
Hello. Welcome to No Load Time.
It's the No Load Time NPR podcast. What's up, dude? How
Dude,
would be? It's nuts. It's like we forgot how to podcast.
I know, right? I told you, it felt like it's been like 3 weeks or some crazy long amount of time since we've been on here. Guys, thank you for your patience. Thankfully, we survived. We were very fortunate.
Survived the hurricane.
We really were fortunate with that hurricane. But of course, we're our hearts and our thoughts and our prayers with those in the Bahamas, of course, because they really got a really hard hit there. But thankfully, we're still able to be here, going to be on the show. All is well for us. But yeah, man, we're back.
We're back. Absolutely. I'm happy to be back because I missed our topics and discussions over here. So get ready to have a good time, dude, because it's gonna be a good one today.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we got a few things going on. But Joel, you went to NYC last week. How was that, man?
I did. Hurricane slowed me down on my trip, but I still made it out there. Had a good time catching up with family and some friends. A lot of people that I know that are out there basically stayed in the Brooklyn area, but really wanted to make sure I got into the city, into Manhattan, where all the action's happening. So on Friday, I did that. For those of you that follow us on our social media, and if you aren't, you're missing out, guys. At No Load Time, it's at No Load Time, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. I was out there posting and did also a live video from two fun locations that I got to visit. I visited more spots, but there's parts that interest you guys. And that would be, first of all, Video Games New York. That's in Lower Manhattan, and Midtown Comics, which is in Central Manhattan, about 42nd Street, right around Times Square. So for Video Games New York, Obed, you and I have talked about this store before. It's a really cool spot. The last time I visited New York, I really wanted to get out to it, but I was busy with some other things that were on my agenda at that point. But this time I was able to make it out there. Very nice, very sweet shop. It's a nice little, like most places in New York, it's a hole in the wall, but it's a special one, right? It's got the nice big yellow Video Games in New York on the outside, big Mario and Sonic welcoming you into the store. And once you come in, it's amazing. It's got something for everyone. It's great because it's got your classic games, game games for consoles that no longer exist, and of course current
Yeah.
gen. In addition to, of course, a lot of support for the fighting game community with a lot of the fight sticks and the parts that you need to create your own fight sticks.
Yeah, I was gonna say with the first Fight Stick I modded, it was a Hori V3 for PS3, and the parts that I got when I originally started modding that stick, all those parts came from Video Games New York because I was looking for specific parts. Um, I mean, they were out there, right? I later learned about Focus Attack and Arcade Shock and Paradise Arcade Shop, which are fantastic stores for parts like this. But back then, I think Video Games New York had the best pricing. Shipping was good. Shipping was really fast. So, yeah, it props to them because they really did really good on that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's cool because they have a nice setup, with literally laid out all the different parts, and you can just kind of just point, this is what I want, that's what I want. So it was really, really cool. And like I said, it has, a mixture of stuff for everybody there. I was looking at Dreamcast stuff, I was talking to you about it as I was out there. It's cool because they have a whole section for just imports, which is really, really cool.
Nice.
I know that if you were in there, your eyes would be glowing because you'd be like, they have this thing and they have that thing. Like I'm talking like stuff brand new. It literally says factory sealed. They've got this stuff sitting right there. It's a wealth of games, and it was a really nice store to visit.
Cool, man. Yeah, yeah. How about the comic shop?
Yeah, Midtown Comics. So I've always been told about this comic book shop. They have a series of them. There's three different Midtown Comics in different parts of Manhattan, but the main one being in Times Square. And I've been told it's one of the biggest video game shops that you will go into. Okay, it's cool. Let's check it out, guys. It's amazing. It's 2 floors high. It's literally right away from Times Square, where the ball drops or whatever in New York. And it's amazing. I mean, you're talking literally walls just for the trades, for the new issues. They've got several different collectible pieces, content. You're talking whether it be special packaging or specific versions, limited edition versions of comics. I saw plenty of different memorabilia from films, signed and autographs from, of course, actors and also comic creators, artists that they had out there. It was like a candy shop, dude, like a kid in a candy store. I mean, literally, it was like there's nothing that made me unhappy. Like, it just joy just hits you the second you walk through. And
Nice.
I took such a long time just going through looking at all comics, just stopping there, starting to read. Like there was a Thanos comic book that I've wanted to read for a while that they had there, so I just stopped and started reading it a little bit there. I'm like, gosh, time just was flying by. Really, really, really nice stuff. They had the biggest thing, I think, that everybody was kind of, whether you be a tourist or I guess even I'm assuming locals are also in there, make sure, and everyone wanted to stop by, was the Infinity Gauntlet signed by Josh Brolin, sitting right.
Oh yeah.
Pretty cool. But yeah, it's a great store. I ended up picking up some stuff. Ended up getting another thing that I actually have to put up my desk when I get back in the office. But yeah, it was a really nice store, 2 floors high, dude, 2 levels.
Nice. That's awesome. We have pretty decent shops down here, though. I mean,
We
we
do.
we do. I mean, Coliseum. They keep a neat store, and in the in betweens, we would no longer have like Think Geek and whatnot. But yeah, we and there's a quite a few local small shops that are really good with some nice people in there. But yeah, man, that Midtown store sounds fantastic, bro. Yeah, I
Amazing.
saw I saw the pictures you posted and the videos, and I was like, man, this looks crazy. Yeah, all the figures and then the gauntlet, and yeah, that's awesome. That's
It's
awesome.
great. It's great.
That's great, dude. Great, great, awesome. Pretty quiet for me, man. Keep playing that Resident Evil 2 remake. Fantastic. Um, I don't have anything negative to say about that game at all. I mean, if anything, is that it chugs a little bit on the regular PS4. That would be the my only thing, and that's not the game's fault. so so I have nothing against that game, dude. That game is phenomenal. And as I mentioned before, sound design in this game is so good. It's the sound, it's a character. Like, you have to play this game with headphones because it's just the immersion and just the way the sound and it's said on this game is just absolutely phenomenal, man. So I highly recommend this game. It's really, really good. Real, if you're into the spooks, but not like the creepy spooks, but just
The fun ones.
the zombie jump scare kind of thing. If you're into that, it's absolutely fantastic. It's great, and it. I started thinking, and what if, like, I know Resident Evil 4 is available on pretty much anything. The game still holds up, but I mean, I would like to see like a full-on remake of Resident Evil 4 made in this sort of thing, this sort of engine, because the Resident Evil 4 is not. It's a challenging game, but it's not necessarily hard. This one's hard. It's, I mean, even if you're on a normal, I've died a billion times, and have like 30 saves on my first run. Doing a little bit better now, but at the same time, I have less ammo. So give and take, and yeah, I mean, this game's just really good. And other than that, dude, again, emulation is we do not condone it. We do not yeah, do it at your own risk. We will not provide links. We will not provide websites that provide this sort of things. But during the hurricane, I found myself kind of bored. We had a few days off because of the hurricane advisories and not knowing if this thing's going to hit us or not. So I got bored one day and I was like, man, I wonder if I can emulate Sega CD games. So I jumped in to one of those many sites, which, by the way, Nintendo this week sued one of these ROM sites because of you know ROM, like, hosting ROMs by itself. That act is sort of gray area, shady. So that's why I'm telling you again. We don't condone this, but it's what doing at your own risk. Google's the thing. It's out there, right? So I went into the site, downloaded this emulator for Sega, and basically it is a Sega emulator. You can emulate Master System, Game Gear, Genesis, 32X, and Sega CD, and Sega CD 32X. So basically, all the Sega systems up until I mean, not counting like the Mark One and the SGs and all this old stuff that only came out in Japan, but up until the Saturn, you could basically emulate anything out of this thing. Uh, I looked up some BIOS files; those were hard to find. It's for the Sega CD. I loaded them in and downloaded a couple of games for Sega CD. It's like, oh, there's a couple of games that I really want to play on Sega CD that I really miss. When I still have my Sega CD, but I don't have. I only have one game left for it. I had around 10, lost them back when I was in high school. So um, don't let your games to friends if you're in high school. That's a it's a pro tip, life lesson, life advice right here. Yeah.
Obed's a nice guy.
Yeah, just don't do it. Just
Don't do it.
just don't do it. So going back and had a little bit of trouble. It's like, man, these things are not loading. The BIOS file is here. I don't know what's happening. Then it's telling me the BIOS is not there. Loaded another file that I found, and then the game launched. And it launched. If you have been listening from the beginning, you will recognize the Sega CD loading theme. I've used it in a couple of the old intros. So as soon as the music kicks in, I was like, man, it worked. So let's see if this works. So what's crazy, Joe, is that this emulator has an option to change the CD-ROM read speeds. The Sega CD is a 1x CD-ROM, so it is extremely, extremely slow. It had the option to actually emulate an 8x CD-ROM, so the load times were like instant. So there's like literally, Joe, no load time on it. So
Literally.
I mean, not not that I intend this pun to be like this, right? But there's literally no load time now on Sega CD games. So I loaded in Robo Leste is one of my favorite games of all time. Is one of my favorites. It's probably my favorite Sega CD game of all time. Um, and yeah, the game's hard. I remember it being hard. I remember it being very, very hard back then. I finished it. I don't know how I finished it. I'm old, so my reflexes are not what they used to be. And and yeah, played a couple levels. It was great. My daughter was with me. She likes every time I finagle around with the computer, she likes to be next to me and see, right? So I was like, oh, I wonder if I can find something else. So, just clicking into a couple links into a certain website, I found, I was like, oh yeah, click here and you can have all the Sega Genesis ROMs from like the US releases. So I downloaded like another 300 and some games, which, okay. So it runs perfect with the Sega CD, with the Sega Genesis games as well. The simulator is fantastic. And I loaded up Musha, which is basically Aleste is basically the first Aleste game. So Robo Aleste is the second game, the one for Sega CD. Musha is the first one, which I found to be much easier. The game is much slower. Even my daughter told me, it's like, oh, this game is slower than the other one. It's like it looks the same, but it looks like it's slower. It was like even a 4-year-old can tell that it's actually slower. So I did much better on Musha than I did on on Robo Este. So I loaded out a couple of games here and there, just tested it out, man, and it worked great. I mean, my computer is not a modern computer by any means. I mean, it has okay specs, but it's 6-7 years old, whatever. But yeah, man, it was pretty. I had a pretty interesting experience during the hurricane. It was pretty good.
Nice.
Yeah, Joe, Tokyo Game Show's going on, but before we jump in, we do have some breaking news. MoviePass, which is something that we've mentioned on the show a few times because you, along with other coworkers, had mentioned it. They just announced today, a couple hours ago, that they're actually shutting down tomorrow. And by tomorrow, we're recording this on Friday the 13th, September 13th. So tomorrow, Saturday the 14th, they will be shutting down. The service will be no more. Joe, What the heck, man? Was it ahead of its time?
Yeah, they made so many major mistakes, and their death is not for lack of effort. Like they really made a strong push, and they made me hold out from canceling my movie pass when they started to slowly go under. I ended up canceling just when the app literally just stopped working. And at this when most people just started just going away, right?
Yeah,
But when I did use it, like it was working fine. Everyone had the concerns. This is too good to be true, but why not take advantage of it, right? But like they made that strong. I remember statement where they were saying, "Look, we're not going to go under. We literally have financial backing, like money in the bank, just waiting to use as recovery funds as they're in the negative, just to keep them afloat." And they were really believing that at some point this thing was going to really catch fire, catch steam, and be okay. But even if you catch steam, it still was a negative, right? Like if your ticket costs $15 and you're only paying $10 for the subscription, movie pass is still paying the company the $15. So there's still like there was still in the negative. There had to be another way for them to get that revenue, whether that be data sharing, something else that they had to do, right? Advertisements, whatever that is, to get that money back. It just didn't seem like they really could ever crack that code, and it was too late by the time that they actually did try and make changes to kind of keep themselves in a just stable funds, not necessarily make a profit, but just try and at least be stable. And at
yeah.
that point, like their app didn't work, right? So you have to pay $20 a month, and you could only see movies that have been out 3 weeks and 3 weeks already, or something crazy like or whatever. Like there was no point, right?
I think the last time, man, it's crazy because I think the last time we mentioned them on the show was that they run out of cash, and
Yeah,
and they didn't have any like operational cash flow. And man, it's crazy. It was like it started really strong, dude. I mean, could it be that they were blocked by movie theaters? Could there be some more to this story, Joel? Do you think it has something to do with AMC not really coming on board onto what this plan was? I mean, what are your theories? Because I know that you were a user, so I'm asking you about it,
for sure.
and then based on other things that you've probably heard from some other people. So
Yeah, what was good about it is it was universally accepted by every movie theater at the start. However, that deal was made was phenomenal because I couldn't find a place that didn't accept it, including like little Cracker Jack box places that like you're like this is a movie theater and yeah, I took it. But when AMC came along, what I did notice was when I would try and use the movie pass and when other people had said things is that AMC wasn't a fan of it, so to discourage people from using, a lot of people who go to AMC or frequent AMC's are people who that's their go-to movie theater, right? It's a very household name. So most people have an AMC Stubs card, right? Sometimes it's a membership. I think it's like $16 for the year or something like that. You get rewards based off of different purchases. So what the movie pass, what happened there is when you would go and get your movie pass ticket, they would not allow you to use your AMC Stubs card for your ticket, so you couldn't get rewards for the movies you're watching. So that instantly became a problem for a lot of people, and they actually would threaten you. It was this bad where if you actually pulled it out and you actually tried to do it on your own on one of the side machines or whatever, they literally threatened that they would come up and literally break your card and throw it away. And
that's nuts, bro.
that actually happening. People were really angry about it. So, AMC obviously pulled the cannon and basically not only were they rejecting the usage of it with their membership, but then they said, okay, we're going to do you better. We're going to do our $20 plan where you can see 3 movies a week, any format, and you get the Stubs, deals in there included. Amazing. I have that deal currently myself. Obviously, you look at Cinemarks that are also very popular right now. Regal, those three major chains, AMC, Regal, Cinemark, they all have their own subscription plan.
They
Some
do.
being even less than MoviePass, believe it or not. Regal, I think, is somewhere in the range of $9, I think, right
Yeah.
now. But it's still like a very limited thing. But they figured out the way of doing it better than MoviePass. MoviePass broke the mold, did something new, but these theaters definitely rejected it and then put out their own one up you.
Yeah, yeah, kind of like what the online services that we've seen now, the service wars that we're about to witness here in a couple of months. Um, yeah, I mean, last time I went to Regal, and it's funny because Regal's the is my go-to movie place because it's the one that's 10 minutes away,
Yeah.
good service and whatnot. So that's my go-to movie theater. I've never signed up for any of the rewards anything because I mean I'm not a frequent moviegoer. If I was, if I would be in the movie theater at least once a month, then definitely. I mean, I used to be that person, because back when I was at Disney, we had deals with AMC, and I used to frequent the one over at back then downtown Disney, now Disney Springs, quite a bit. So that used to be my go-to movie theater, even if I had to drive a half hour or 45 minutes and get stuck in traffic and whatnot. So that used to be my go-to. But yeah, I think Regal's deal is actually pretty cost efficient. And yeah, I mean it's a shame. Well, they did something good, which was, like you said, break the mold. Right, they started something, and they will be remembering for starting something and not finishing the job. But
Finishing it.
but at the same time, now there's options, and that's the good thing. And now by them starting this sort of project, now all of us win because now every movie theater chain has their own thing, and now they're competing. So, you know, we're gonna get probably reap the benefits of the
Yeah.
demise of MoviePass.
Yeah,
So
the battling only benefits the consumer, right? The deal only gets better. Like you said, Regal, I
yeah,
think maybe one of the most cost efficient ones if you want to save money the most. So yeah, it's cool. I wish MoviePass was in the fold with these other companies still that kind of because MoviePass was one of those united, right? Like it didn't matter what movie theater you went to was the idea.
'cause it was a Mastercard
Preview.
by itself, the
It
card
was
itself, and they basically loaded with like fake cash.
exactly.
Yeah, and that's what, but that was part of the problem too. I mean, they were loading these cards with hopes and dreams, and then at the same time, they didn't have money to pay back, dude, and they ran out of cash like it's really fast, dude. It was like within 6 months or something. Because I remember us talking about MoviePass in December. We
Yeah.
started the podcast in I want to say like May the following year when we talked about it, and then a couple of months after that, it was like, oh, but we passed out of cash. It's like this thing's been out for like 6 months. Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, it's a shame, but you know what? Again, movie theaters are doing their own thing, so there's definitely alternatives to that. So yeah, there's MoviePass for you. Done. Joel, real quick, because I just mentioned the streaming wars. There was another piece of breaking news that I don't know if you saw it today, but Bob Iger quit. Bob Iger, CEO of Disney, quit the Apple board of directors the same day that Apple TV Plus was announced. So all the pricing for Apple TV Plus, which they went ahead and undercut Disney. It's only $5 a month for the service.
Yes.
Um, Fantastic because they're undercutting people, right? But yeah, I mean, you don't mess with Disney, bro.
Yeah,
Uh,
but also there's some things in play there. There's actually some like regulations that literally when that goes into effect, they literally can't be in the same. So like as both companies would literally like you can't have their staff
yeah.
coexisting in that way.
Conflict of interest.
Right, conflict of interest, exactly. So it only makes sense, right? Like whether they play nice or not, at some point you have to say, "Sorry, I can't go that far." So, but it is interesting still how you said the price point because I mean you and I both know even Disney Plus that's probably not going to last, guys. I'm sorry, that's not going to be the price that is now. It's probably not going to be what's going to be, in a couple of years. But it's interesting that the data just from where they're starting is already lower than Disney. I don't think they have as much nearly to offer as Disney, but when they did announce their plan, some very 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 incredible people are involved. So I'm sure down the line when they do finally,
Yeah.
pull the gun and announce everything that they have coming, it's going to be something interesting.
Yeah, I'm curious to see what Netflix is going to do. I think that they have to readjust somewhere. They
Yeah,
have to lower that price
they have
because
to.
if they want to stay, because they're on top right now, but if they want to stay on top, I mean,
It
what
wasn't
what
the
what?
first time Netflix lost a lot of people for pricing.
Yeah,
This is
yeah.
resurgence these last few years.
Yeah, this year, I mean, I'm about to just down my package. So Crunchyroll went up too. I think I'm gonna just suspend that. There's no JoJo until further notice, so I'm good. So I'm probably just gonna discontinue Crunchyroll until JoJo comes back. So so I'm good. I'm good with just not having the service. And if I watch any of the shows that are on the non-premium, I can deal with 3 commercial breaks. It's fine. I'm good. But yeah, because Disney Plus, again, to me, that's a they one thing. So, Joel, do you want to go ahead and segue into Apple?
Let's do it.
Yeah, let's go Apple. So Apple had their event, and of course they unveiled the pricing for Apple TV Plus. As we mentioned, $5 a month, $4.99. They also talked a lot about their arcade, their Apple Arcade, and again, very aggressive with this thing. This is again not a streaming service. This is a gaming service where you pay a monthly fee and you would get to download games and play games from different developers. Big name developers are working on games for the platform. You got Konami, Capcom's working on games, so a lot of indie games. So very interesting stuff, Joel. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I like that they've made a commitment to still be in the gaming space. It's definitely something that I can see them growing in, and I think that's something that it seems like they're very confident and serious in staying in this space. The thing that interests me the most is how they're not trying to repeat stuff. Like a lot of it is really just kind of like this exclusive idea of like this is content just on Apple. This is our own games made for our own iOS, right? So it's like it's a cool thing because yeah, it's not going to be like these earth shattering. Oh my goodness, I have to play these games right now. But if they do try and develop and get more understanding of how this is gonna be a part of their family Apple, I think that's what they're really exploring.
Yep.
Like at some point they could have something where people say, look, I need to have this subscription. Right now, it's more like a fun thing to have, and it's a cool feature to have. Like that's what Apple's always into, right? The coolness, right? But
Yeah,
they
because
could get into that space of like you have to have, and they can really market it that way.
yeah, absolutely. And just going back again, they're doing the same thing that they're doing with TV Plus. It's $5 a month. Um, the way I understand that this is going to be rolled out is that with iOS 13 that comes out next week, you would now have compatibility with DualShock 4 and Xbox One controllers. And that would be, again, just for iOS devices. So I think it's iOS and Apple TV, and then a Mac. The Mac version of the service will come down, I think December or sometime early next year. So I can't remember exactly, but it's gonna be rolled out in a couple of months. It's not gonna be day and date. So this is gonna be rolled out September 19th. Mac's gonna be like 3 months after that. And again, this is iOS devices and Apple TV. Again, you'd have the option to pair a DualShock 4, Xbox One controller, or whatever Apple certified, Steel Series or whatever controller you want to use. Pretty good, man. I mean, $5 a month is not bad at all. And
No, it's a
depend,
fun thing to have.
yeah, exactly. And depending on the experiences that they're going to have, they're saying that they're going to have over 100 games available. Again, way forwards in it, and a lot of a lot of major developers are in. We'll see. Some of the things that they showed look pretty cool. They showed that Ocean Horn game that looks like a Breath of the Wild knockoff, and that's pretty interesting. Um, you know, yeah, like you said, yeah, something fun to have, like an add-on. If you pay your dollar for iCloud, sure, add an extra here and there. But yeah, I think it's a decent service, and if they're gonna up the game when it comes to mobile gaming, I think this is the right way to do it, and curating their catalog, because they that's the thing about Apple, and that's the thing I would say, everyone, me being a former Android user, and you being a former Android user
Totally.
yourself, yeah. the way that Apple curates their store is like, I mean, there's like not even it's not even funny, dude. Like it makes the Android store looks like crap to the Play Store, and that's the thing, um, you just have a device that works, and you get your support and get everything you need, so you're good. Joel, and then I think the biggest thing that they, of course, unveiled with their new iPhones, the iPhone 11 and iPhone 11 Pro and Pro Max. And yeah, I mean, the 11 being more of an upgrade or an update to the 10 to the 10R, basically is essentially a 10R with a dual camera now, and a new chip, a new processor in it. So yeah, I mean the price point on that is the same as the 10R, so it would make sense if you're going to do like a sideways, a side step upgrade. That would be pretty cool. I mean, of course, I'm going to hold off until next year because I got my 10R not even a year ago, so I will be holding off until 12 or whatever comes up next year. So and the Pro, which looks like a very interesting device because that triple camera, and not just it having a triple camera, Joe, the way you could use those three cameras, that's what's
Oh
really
my God.
impressive on that device, Joe.
Yeah, that was super impressive. So when they started showcasing that one particular demo of the cinematographer trying to use it for like these musicians or something that they were capturing, like doing like a demo or whatever, like that was impressive because Obed, I work in a creative space, and for a lot of people that not to say that you're going to use this necessarily professionally, but if you're even just trying to use this for your own fun wherever you are trying to do right, wherever life takes you, like it's cool that you have this near professional idea of literally switching cameras even though it's on the same device. So you've got your wide shot, your close up, your flipped, front facing. It was incredible to see how it literally had A cam, B cam. It was like a professional videography setup just
Yeah,
for an iPhone. I'm like, these guys are really, they're not just saying, okay, yeah, it looks crisper, and yeah, it looks nicer, and yeah, it looks more vibrant. No, like we're actually putting intelligent design into the way this hardware is going to work, and that
yeah.
really interested me. I'm not saying it's a thing that like people need, but it's a cool thing that you're giving. If you're going to give something new, you're giving something really cool to go with it.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely very impressive. And they're touting the device as not a regular consumer device at all. I mean, it's priced the same as the what is it called?
10s, 10s
Yeah,
Max.
10s, yeah, 10s and the 10s Max. So they're touting it to be a professional grade device, kind of like how they treat the iPad Pro, which is basically like a workstation laptop replacement sort of device. So they're touting it to be that, and it was very impressive. Like that video demo by itself was really impressive. They have a new OLED screen on it, of course HDR, Dolby Vision, and the new chip on it. Yeah, I was very impressed by that. For me personally, as just a standard phone user, that I don't take high end video, I don't do this crazy things. The 11 would work out just perfectly for me. I think I just going for the the base model with upgraded storage space. To me, that still makes sense. Um, so yeah, man, I was very impressed by it, for sure, and I'm curious to see what they're going to show next year. Of course, they showed a new iPad, which is basically a replacement for the original or the iPad that came out last year. They already have an iPad Air, so now there's three tiers of iPad, that they're going to have. But yeah, very, very interesting stuff. Curious to see what they come out. There's still rumors that AirPods are gonna come out this year, like upgraded AirPods. And of course, there's those new Beats Pro that came out that are like supposed to be fantastic. So they have very compelling products. People can criticize them all they want, and I can criticize them because I think their price points in some things like the Mac Pro and their monitors and this stuff it is a little bit overboard.
$100 pencil was really a stylus.
Yeah, this sort of thing. And we can criticize them because of that, right? But at the same time, they are quality products, and like I always say, you get what you pay for, and you know you can buy an Android or you can buy an iPhone. It's up to you. But your experience. That's the thing, right? When you buy an Android, experience may vary. When you buy an iPhone, everyone gets the same experience. It's just how you treat your phone at that point. So I really like that. Joe, let's go ahead and take a quick break, and we will be right back. And we are back with you guys. Joe, there's a few things again, like I mentioned, Tokyo Game Show's happening. There's a Nintendo Direct that happened, but real quick, Joe, the Joker. There's reviews out. There is a very, very, very positive buzz around this movie. Joel, what do you think, man?
Incredible. I told you I'm on the record. I've been a very strong critic of this, and I think it's just hesitantly optimistic, right? But like I told you a bit, either this movie's gonna be really bad or really good. That's something you can listen to past episodes. That's exactly how I categorized it. Sounds like it's on the really good scale, which is what we're hoping to hear, right? So we want to hear. It opened up to have reviews, and it's had screenings by various different people, the internet critics and very well acclaimed critics, right? So the internet critics right now is sitting on Rotten Tomatoes at 75%, so it's fresh. It's a good film, according to Rotten Tomatoes, 75%. It premiered at the Venice Film Festival, and at the Venice Film Festival, it received, no exaggeration, guys, you're hearing me right, 8 minutes of a standing ovation. That's right, 8 minutes of just clapping and standing. Wow, I mean that's a workout in its own. But I'm not making this up. You can literally there's footage of this. You can literally watch it. It's incredible. But with that being said, it also at the Venice Film Festival ended up winning film of the festival, and that's interesting. That's basically saying it's the best picture that was shown to us at this festival. And there's a lot of things that are shown at that festival that are considered very well acclaimed. That doesn't mean it's going to win Best Picture of the Oscars. That doesn't reflect at all anything in that nature. Even if any of those those things don't reflect that at all. It's just a matter of fact. But it's really awesome to see people who watch a certain caliber film speak so highly of it and say how good it is. I'm very impressed. I mean, it's definitely going to be something that is going to take notice. It's on par right now to beat Venom for an opening weekend, supposed to make $85 million is what they're expecting. We're still far out in advance. This movie comes out in October, guys. There's hype around it. Obed, you and I are talking about when potentially seeing it. But yeah, Obed, good reviews, 75% from internet critics, high praise from the very well received critics. Let's see how this really goes.
Yeah, and an American critic in the crowd over in Venice, and they asked him, "It's like, hey, do you think this movie will get recognition in the U.S. Golden Globes and Oscars and whatnot?" And he said that he had already talked to some people, and for sure that movie is going to be in the running for both because the movie is so good. So yeah, I'm excited. Well, I guess we'll have to wait and see and check it out. So it's gonna be very interesting. There was a Nintendo Direct last week, and there were a few things that got announced. I'm just gonna do a quick recap of the things that are important to us. First one being Overwatch is coming to the Switch on October 15th for $40, and it will include a 3-month Nintendo Switch Online pass. The game itself, and I'm doing this as a PSA. If you buy the physical version, it is a physical case with a download code. It is not a cartridge. So, just so you guys know, that's basically how this thing is going to operate. So, but yeah, big deal. Overwatch, I'm curious to see Digital Foundry whenever they do a dissection on how this game is going to run on the Switch, because I am very curious on how this thing's going to run. The other big thing that got announced is that SNES games are finally coming to Switch with Super Nintendo. What do they call it again? They use this weird nomenclature like Super Nintendo, Nintendo Switch Online. So Super Nintendo Entertainment Systems, Super Nintendo Online, whatever. But yeah, this launched already. It's included on your online pass. They also announced that they will no longer release games on a monthly basis. So it could take a couple of months for new games to get added. But the game selection is pretty good. So you got your classics. So you got Super Mario World, Yoshi's Island, Zelda, Mario Kart, Super Metroid. You have a pretty decent selection of Super NES games here that for sure is going to be sufficient for people looking into adding value to their Switch. Go ahead, man. If you want to jump in, you can do
No,
so.
you're good. Yeah, I'm very excited about what they're doing with Switch. The catalog getting bigger, more things to be excited about. Which you mentioned, of course, the confirmation of the SNES content coming through. Uh, I'm a fan of what Nintendo's bringing to the table, man. So that's no, I don't need to add in any more positive than I'm in.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Cool. Also for the SNES, they will have SNES controllers available for $30.
That's cool.
So you can buy those as well, or you can buy an 8-bit dough, which 8-bit dough Bluetooth, I believe, are around 30. I think they're the same price. Um, they're comparable controllers. So, yeah, I mean, there's an option. One that's pretty interesting, Joe. They had another character reveal for Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. Terry Bogard from Fatal Fury is coming in with a very, very good announcement trailer. A lot of FGC guys are really excited about this. A lot of the younger Smash players or Smash people and fans are like, "Who is this guy? Never heard of this guy before." Terry's important. Terry Bogard is near and dear to my heart. This is a character that I really
Classic,
love.
man.
Yeah, and it's funny because I'm watching the trailer, and I go, it's like, I bet he's gonna turn around and go, "Hey, come out!" And that's exactly what he did. It's like, yeah, that's Terry. That is Terry. So, I have a very uh, the SNK characters have a special place in my heart. So what's Carrie, Terry, and Kyo, and of course Joe, Andy, and all these guys. So Geese. So it's pretty awesome to see that he's coming in for Smash. Xenoblade Chronicles, which was a Wii game, is going to get a remaster on the Switch. And also Tokyo Mirage Sessions, which is a spin-off of Shin Megami Tensei, which is the originator of Persona and all these other games. So that is getting a Switch port coming out on January 17th. That was a Wii U game. So we are still going to get Wii U games on the Switch, and that's fine. Don't worry. One that's very interesting, Joel, Deadly Premonition 2 is going to be coming out on the Switch as a Switch exclusive. Deadly Premonition, the original one, was released on the Xbox 360, and it had a director's cut on PS3. I heard the game is really interesting, but it's not for everyone. But there are people very excited about Deadly Premonition 2. So that's coming out. And one that's really weird, Joel, though this is the last one I'm going to touch on because this is the last one that's pretty interesting to me, is that Star Wars Jedi Knight 2 Jedi Outcast is coming out on the Switch. What do you think of that? That's like Throwback Thursday for that thing.
It's so random. Like it's I don't know what made them make this decision. I'm not against the decision. I don't think it's a bad decision, but I don't know how much it benefits. Like it's cool. Like I mean, you and I were both Star Wars people. Look at me. If you're watching on YouTube, I'm literally wearing a Star Wars shirt. So cool. Like, yeah, if it's Star Wars, I'll literally put money behind it and just get it just because of Star Wars, right? But like, it's a very random, like you're saying, like, hey, let's just pick an old thing, throw it on the Switch. Why not? I don't think they're looking to make crazy sales, but it's fun. It's cool.
Yeah, that's a very interesting game. I never got a chance to play it. By the time this game came out, I was just not into PC gaming anymore. I did play, of course, Dark Forces on PC and Jedi Knight, which is Dark Forces 2. And this is, of course, a sequel to that. So, yeah, it's a beloved game. I know for sure because the game's supposed to be really good. There is a there was and I believe still is a very active modding community for this game. So it's beloved. People like it. It's a fan favorite. So very interesting stuff from Nintendo. So that's very good. Joel, moving on to some of the Tokyo Game Show announcements. I think the biggest one being that we got another Death Stranding trailer, which I have not watched. I'm not watching any more trailers for that game, trailers per se. But they did release about a 55-minute demo where Kojima played about an hour of the game, and we finally got to see the gameplay loop. And yeah, I mean, this is a new genre. This is something different. I told you guys that Kojima was not gonna, go quietly into the night, and he was gonna do something that was gonna be either genre defining or just create his own thing, and that's exactly what he did. Because I watched about 20 minutes of it. I really, really want to be surprised, and I don't want to get like too spoiled. So I scrubbed while watching the video, but I really like what I see, Joe. What do you think?
Oh yeah, this is great. I'm like, this is Tokyo Game Show, dude. Like, this is what the people out there and us at home that get to thankfully watch this online. We get sit down for an hour and literally watch Hideo Kojima talk about his masterpiece as he's playing it, bro. That's awesome, dude. Like, come on, man. What do we? We're living in such a great time of life.
I
This
know.
game, this game looks phenomenal. I actually went through and checked out what it had to offer fully through. I understand why you didn't because definitely it's worth having the surprises. I'm with you there. But wow, what an impressive demo! You know, it's still very mysterious. They still have plenty of things that I'm still scratching my head trying to figure out, but it'll all be revealed very soon, right, Obed? When
Yeah, yeah,
we get our hands on it. But they
yeah.
showed us enough to make me go like, we've been hyping it up. I'm like, just wait, trust me. Like, it doesn't make sense, but it's gonna be awesome. I mean, the stuff we've seen before is really cool, but this was, I mean, from the opening cinematic, I was like, okay, all right, all
Since
right.
that first trailer, yeah. Since that first trailer dropped, that was very interesting, and we were definitely looking forward to that. And then Kojima hanging out with Keanu Reeves too, man.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that was pretty crazy. So, Joe, moving along, there was a quick Guilty Gear trailer that was released this morning. They just basically showed another character trailer with Kai and Soul basically, and Joel, this game is so pretty. And I watched this thing this morning, and I got like goosebumps because it just it's crazy to think that this game runs on the same engine as Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite. It's like mind boggling. I mean, it was mind boggling back then, right, when this game came out, and then we saw Marvel, and then we got Dragon Ball running on that on UE4. Um, but holy crap, this game looks pretty. And then they showed May that got announced, and they did say, Joe, that they will have another character reveal at CEO Taco, which will be there. So hopefully it'll happen while we're at the event. So that would be pretty hype.
That would be. It is beautiful. I went and checked it out myself, and yeah, like you said, Obed, just to know the actual what engine it's running on is the same Marvel's Capcom. It's incredible. The art style is just so good, dude.
It's absurd. Yeah, I don't know. They're doing they're doing things that they. I bet that when they
Brilliant.
Absolutely. When they created UE4, right? The same thing happened with UE3, right? There's this story about how Unreal Engine 3 was made to was incapable of running at 60 frames a second, and how Ed Boon's brother Ed Boon, being one of the creators of Mortal Kombat, actually hacked in the engine and made the engine run at 60, and that's how Mortal Kombat 9, I believe Mortal Kombat 9, yeah, that's the one that was on UE3, and they made it run at 60. So they're doing whatever these guys are doing at Arxis. It's just on a technical level, dude. This is like really impressive because uh, it's like it looks hand drawn. It really does, and I really don't know, kind of sorcery they're doing over there. But it's fantastic. Uh, so yeah, hopefully we can get that trailer while we're at the event. Joel, we have another trailer or we had the first trailer and a gameplay sort of explanation for the Resident Evil project called Project Resistance, and this is an asymmetric multiplayer survival game, from what I can gather. There's basically four players versus one mastermind. So it's basically four players. They're in this arena. They have to escape. Each character has their own unique set of skills, and then there's a mastermind controlling, zombies, lickers, turrets, and a tyrant, basically. So very interesting. Kind of reminds me a lot of like Left 4 Dead and this sort of horde games where you're like basically four people against a horde, and that Predator game that got announced for PS4 not too long ago. It's essentially sort of the same thing, but this is of course in the Resident Evil universe. I don't know who's developing this game, Joel. This is not being developed by Capcom internally. This is a third party developer that Capcom brought in to work on this game using their own engine and tools. So um, it's interesting that that's actually a thing to note as well. So, but yeah, what do you think of that, man?
No, I thought it's cool, the idea of four versus one, like that's pretty fun. Like I can see it being a nice online experience, a nice friendly experience. It looks scary. Seeing, I love that one particular shot of all of them versus the master. Just like this guy just walking like a boss, like
Dude,
just shoot me. He ain't scared, man. That's scary stuff when I'm playing those games, but it's gonna be a lot of fun. Like, challenge accepted.
yeah, he Mr. X on Resident Evil 2, and you hear those footsteps, man. You better run. You better run. When that music kicks in, you just better run. Um, so yeah, it looks interesting. Sort of like Dead by Daylight is a game that's out right now that's very popular. That's kind of like that. It's basically a killer and four people, and one's the killer, and the killer's like really fast and first person, and then the other four you're supposed to survive and set traps and all these things. So yeah, very interesting stuff. Cool to see. Joe, there's an announcement of a of a Neo Geo, another mini console from SNK. But in this case, is not a like a mini arcade that you plug into your TV. This is actually a full blown arcade stick that you would plug into your TV and has 20 Neo Geo, classic Neo Geo games included on it. The thing looks massive, um, and I'm curious to see what the price point is going to be for this thing, and I need to double check the games list because I'm not sure if they're going to have different games lists for US and Japan. But the device itself looks solid. Joel, do you have a chance to check it out?
Yeah, I got a chance to look it out. Fight sticks are more your specialty, sir. But
Yep,
as a noob looking at it, it's a beautiful piece of hardware. I'm curious to
looks
see,
really nice.
obviously, how it responds, how the community accepts it. Is it as responsive as you guys will like it to be? How comfortable is it? These are all very fair questions in regards to
Yeah,
Fight Stick.
Yeah, that was one thing that I was asking myself. I mean, if this thing has like legit parts on it, it may be worth it.
Okay.
Like Capcom's, I mean
Yeah.
that big stick that Capcom
Yeah.
released,
That's
that they didn't release it in the US for some reason. They released it in Europe, but but that thing had Sanwa
yeah.
parts on it. So
True.
if it has Sanwa parts or Saimitsu parts, you know, things like that, then you may charge an extra $50 for it, but you have a good quality parts on it, and that would be the make or break, at least for me. So yeah, there's no list of games as of yet. I'm double checking, but they did say 20. That has a basically an HDMI port, a power input, and then you can connect the pads for a player too, like the Neo Geo pads that they sell for the Neo Geo Mini arcade that they were selling. I like it. Like it looks really nice. It looks really nice. So I'm curious to see if you can actually use this with something else. Like if you can use this as like a USB fight stick for PS4 or Switch or something, because it's nice looking. It looks really nice. So I'm again, I'm curious to see where this goes. Um, I heard really good things about the Turbo Graphics Mini that Konami was releasing. There was an update on that, and apparently it is getting very positive reaction out there. Apparently the device is solid and it feels good, and the games run really good. So that's another positive when it comes to the mini consoles, which for some reason Nintendo's not doing anymore. But come on. And the Genesis one comes out next week, and that's getting mixed to sort of positive buzz. But I think the issue with that one is some of the sound is having issues, not necessarily sound, but volume, and some of the controllers are just dead out of the box, and that's a concern. So yeah, mini consoles, man, they're a thing. They're fun. I still like my Super Nintendo Mini. I rarely ever use it, but they're neat. You can still find that PlayStation classic thing that they released for like $20 around the internet. So yeah, there's that. With that, no one wanted that PlayStation thing. So I think it's just the game selection was just not good. So on that one, um, Joe, and uh, the other piece of news that I have is sort of a negative, and I hate to end it with a bummer, but that's usually how we treat sensitive topics on No Load Time. And it's GameStop is unfortunately closing 200 of their stores, 200 of their low performing stores, in order for them to refocus assets into rebuilding their high volume stores. My local ThinkGeek, as I mentioned before, closed. I'm not sure. I'm pretty sure that the other ThinkGeek locations actually closed as well. There were two locations here in Orlando, so I'm pretty sure the other one closed again as well. So, I mean, where do they go from here, Joe? Uh, it's not looking good. They're still losing money. Will will they wait for new consoles and then they're gonna call it quits? What do you think, man?
Yeah, I do feel like it's only a matter of time now that we consistently see a decline. I'm not saying it's impossible for a resurrection, and by no means do I actually want it to go away. I'm a fan. I hope that it does stick around. I wish them well. But when I do think of it as the consumer side, I think of like what really motivates me to want to go to these stores. At this point, we're in such a digital world where everyone's purchasing games on Amazon. Best Buy has a great program for people. Obviously, like spend a certain amount of money, get rewards. It's very good program that they have going on there. That's something usually take advantage of Obed.
Mm.
Obviously, yes, physical copy games is still a big thing. You and I are very big fans of physical copy everything, whether it's a film, doesn't matter, right? But like with GameStop, yeah, like they have some cool little stuff, but there's nothing really in there that I got to go to the store to go pick up this game. It's cool that I have a place if I want to just go walk in, grab it off the shelf and have it. That's cool. I like that. But even the idea of used games is not really something that people have been crazy about. That's been a very decline. I used to be someone that would get used games. I don't get used games anymore. Especially with newer consoles. I just like I invested in this thing, might as well get a new game. I mean, there's just especially with also how the games are being created, right? Like you get a new game straight out the box, you get these codes and all this,
Yeah.
like there's no real need for the way that they try to innovate with this pre-gamed and the trade-in and all this kind of stuff. Like their model in general doesn't make me feel like I need to go as a consumer. But if I'm standing in GameStop shoes, I'm saying to myself, well, how do I bring back energy here? I need to do something that only we do is partnership opportunities with the games that are coming out saying we only at GameStop you get this special whatever. They've tried that, they've done that. Doesn't seem to be something that's too crazy. Gosh, I don't know what else to suggest to them. I'm hoping and I'm thinking that they're sitting down every day and they're bored saying, what can we do? What can we do? What can we do? But at this point, I'm not feeling too confident about their future.
Yeah, it's unfortunate for it's unfortunate that they're actually going ahead and closing stores, right? But as I mentioned before, and it's unfortunate because people are going to lose their jobs, right? And that's the hard part of it, right? Is that the economic impact that these closings will have on people's lives, but at the same time, dude, it, it goes back to the EA thing with Madden when EA has been selling you the same Madden game for 15 years because they got that license and 2K was no longer able to do football, and when 2K already had a superior product, and Madden went and EA went ahead and locked in Madden. So I mean the series became stagnant. The same thing happened to GameStop when they started buying Babbage's and EB Games and all this stuff and just killing their competition, and now they're their own worst enemy. That again, there's like three GameStops within a mile of each other where I live. Like I could drive 5 minutes down, there's a GameStop. 5 minutes over, there's another GameStop. Over by UCF, there's another GameStop. Over by the airport, there's another GameStop. And then a mile after that one, there's another GameStop. There's just too many. There's just too many of them, man. And I mean, again, it's unfortunate that people are going to be losing their jobs, but I believe that at the moment, this is the right thing to do. Also, Joe, last week they've cut a large number of Game Informer employees, like half of their staff, basically, uh,
That's true. I
including
saw that.
including the guys that worked on the podcast and some of the editors for Game Informer. So I mean, they're doing cuts, and it's unfortunate again because people are going to get impacted by this by the closings and then the layoffs. But if you're going to save the business, I mean, you gotta do what you gotta do. And I'm curious to see what that new concept that they're talking about will be. I'm pretty sure my local GameStop will be one of those because that's one of the GameStops that on Black Friday you'll get a line out the door over to the corner of the building. So I'm curious to see, and there's always people in there, buying stuff. Um, so I really want to see what that new concept is, and if they're going to reach out to local gaming leagues, because there's a few gaming leagues here. They can reach out. They do some grassroots and maybe bring people into stores, man.
For
So,
sure.
our best goes to the guys affected, and I'm pretty sure we're gonna see a few down in this area because, dude, I've been to GameStops that I got some stories from times that I've been at GameStop, and I'm not gonna say them on the podcast, but because they're sort of uncomfortable, but it's I've been at GameStop that I've been I walked in the store and there's no one, and I mean no one in there, not even employees. The store is open, and I walk in and there's no one in the store, dude. That there's a couple of local ones that are like that. So, but I mean, I'm hoping that this is not another Toys R Us thing, and hopefully they can keep afloat. And they and time's running out, but they have a chance. If they focus on this renovation plan that they have, and if it's good, ultimately we'll see when this is all said and done. So
It used to be a place where we would play games in the store. Like I used to like before I would buy a game, I would literally like they would pop the game in the console right in front of me right there, and I would trial it or whatever. Like it's not like that anymore, at least when I'm in there. So I don't know if that's maybe a part of it. I don't know, but I am hopeful that, like you're saying, that they could turn it around. I don't know what they're gonna do, but I'm sure every day that's on their mind.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I don't want it to be another G4, and that was really unfortunate. Oh boy. Yeah, we're gonna talk about G4 here. So, yeah, I really want them to be able to stay afloat. I mean, do I agree with all of their business practices? No, not really. I mean, like you mentioned, used games. I mean, I don't necessarily have a huge problem with that, but the way they've been approaching it the last few years is troubling to say the least. So. Um, and also their new games. Like, dude, if you're selling me a new game, that thing better be wrapped. Don't pull a disc out of an envelope and put it in a case and give it to me, um, because that's not how things work. And I try to buy. So this is the last time I tried to buy a used game at GameStop, Joe. This was my experience, and I'm just gonna share it with you guys. I tried to buy the Final Fantasy 10 collection for the Vita, out over at GameStop, and they had one copy, one new copy, um, and it said new, right? So I take the case over to the register, and it said new. Okay, open I give it to the girl in front. It said new. It's just like, oh yeah, this is a new copy, but it's the only one we have. So the game's here in this envelope. I'm gonna put it in. It's like, okay. And what about the code? It's like, what do you mean the code? It's like, because Final Fantasy X comes on physical, but the Final Fantasy X-2 is a separate download. The game comes with a code. It's like, oh yeah, it's like, yeah, you can read in the back. It's like there's a Final Fantasy X-2 is a downloadable code. It says on the box. And it's like, oh well, I don't have the code. I was like, I'm not gonna buy the game. Thanks, bye. And I left. You know, that was the last time I tried to buy anything used at GameStop. So I'm just not a big fan of their used games practice. And going back to what you said, so it's unfortunate. Hopefully, they can turn it around. They should refocus uh, instead of just their games trading, um, because they're known. They're the meme, right? They're the places where you trade 20 games for 49 cents, and it's and they have to distance themselves from that. And if it means them having to cut use games, you have to move away from that sort of marketing view, or and that way, that perception that the customers have of GameStop. So you have to move away from that, I think. So, but yeah, our best goes to the those that are going to be affected, and the guys from Game Informer that were affected as well. So we'll see. It's gonna be very interesting. So, Joel, that is what I got, sir. If you want to go ahead and wrap it up.
Absolutely, guys. Thank you again for taking time of your day to listen to us here on the show. We've got a lot more great stuff coming your way. So make sure you stay tuned. Make sure you stay subscribed. You can subscribe to the show audio version on iTunes, Google Play, SoundCloud, and Spotify. Also, you can subscribe to our video version on our YouTube channel, No Load Time. Make sure to also to be a follower on our social media so you get informed on all the new stuff, sometimes some fun reactions on things that are going on. We handle our social channels very uniquely, whether you're following us on Instagram or you're following us on Facebook or you're following us on Twitter. There's always different stuff to see there. So at No Load Time, that's at No Load Time. You can find us there on our social media. Make sure to also send us an email with any questions, comments, or feedback that you would like to give us. Send us our way. We're always welcome to it. We really appreciate it. So send an email to noloadtime@gmail.com. That's noloadtime@gmail.com. Thank you all very much. Episode 105 is coming next week, and we look forward to it.
Thank you, guys. And we'll see you again next time.